I have sinned against you, my Lord.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another off day with Ballpark Nation. If you look at the shocked look at my co-host's face, he did not know that I was going to be going for a double whammy, but we had a lot going on. Andy, first, every time Bennett Sousa comes in to pitch, that's the song I think of. That should be his warm-up song. So why not a little John Philip Sousa on Independence Week?
Hey, this show and our budget demands royalty-free music, so I appreciate it whenever you can put it in.
Whatever I can put it in. Also, Jimmy Swaggart died, which is the first time I learned about how you could just basically be a crap piece of crap as a celebrity and then apologize. And I thought it was appropriate, as we just found out that Diddy was not convicted of any of the actual real charges.
That is very on par for the United States in July 2025.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. I have sinned against you. Being a Catholic, I thought the whole thing was funny anyway, but yeah.
Well, if we want to get if we want to really upset some of the people watching the show, all 10 of you right now, growing up Catholic in Texas meant that you had relatives who would tell you that you were going to hell because of what religion your parents picked for you as a child, with glee.
With glee.
So when Jimmy Swaggart has, death or anything else bad happening to him, I don't feel a lot of what normal human beings would call emotion.
Yeah, I don't have what you call empathy for him.
Well, that empathy is for soy boys anyway. Just cut it out.
True.
Libtard cuck.
That's funny. So I'm wearing my Emerald Assad Pools hat that I got this past weekend, and I was driving up there, and I forgot how obvious anti-Catholic sentiment gets going. That like there are billboards that said Jesus was not a god, like just everything. And I'm like, obviously I know it exists. The biggest Klan massacre in the Pacific Northwest was against a Catholic church. Like, it's a thing. It's just, I don't know. It was funny to me, and all of these things came together when what we could really use, Andy, is the miracle of Jesus healing Yordan Alvarez's hand. Who knew hand jobs were hard, Andy?
Evidently, the Astros didn't know, because this is just the ongoing saga that is going to define our summer. The Astros, to their part, keep winning baseball games despite all of this nonsense. But as all of you watching and all of us on the show realize, yesterday, Yordan Alvarez was shut down from baseball activities for, I think, the third time since May 2nd, because the Astros just can't get a handle on what's wrong with his hand. It's baffling. It's baffling. And honestly, I would have preferred them just to say, hey, it's a hamate bone injury back in May, and start that process then, because my fear, and I don't want to get into the spectacular or the panic that some of the usual suspects on social media have gotten into about the end of his career, or certainly the end of his season. But it's starting to get to the point where you can't trust a thing that the Astros are saying about their players and their health. And it doesn't look like it's a lack of communication, like we talked about yesterday, that Dana Brown doesn't have a problem communicating. He just has a problem with knowing what he's supposed to say, evidently, because everything he's said about injuries tends to be wrong based on the second scan. And again, how about you wait for that second scan before you make a statement?
Correct me if I'm
my
wrong,
advice.
but didn't Springer have that hamate surgery mid-season and was able to come back in like 6 weeks or something? Like,
right. But every week, my point is, every week we push that off.
That's what I mean. Like,
another week he's not playing when the games really start getting important. And I know every game in the season, every game in April is just as important as the game in September, but that's bullshit, and we know it, because we were at 10 games down at some point last season and won the division. Those games at the end meant more than the games at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like, if this was, and so I will continue to live in the realm of being positive about things. I will be shocked if it's that, but also probably pretty pissed off if it's that, because if it had been that and they had diagnosed that back in May, and you can't tell me that they don't see enough of those injuries that they can't take a pretty good educated guess as what it was, then they could have done the surgery and he would have literally been back by now.
And I guess at this point we should offer the idea that we are not medical professionals and nothing that we say should be taken as medical advice legally. And I feel covered.
Us and Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Also, darkest timeline, sir. But it's just the continued mystery, and it's not just Yordan. It's finding out that Jeremy Pena's shut down, like we talked about yesterday, based on the results of a second scan, which evidently was really the first scan because they just relied on him saying he felt good Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning before he started taking swings in the cage. I just don't understand, when you've got millions and millions of dollars invested in these guys, why you don't do everything you can on the front end and then continue to do it along the way during the rehab.
Yeah.
It feels like you get a diagnosis and they're just shut down any communication and go, good luck. And
One
again,
of our viewers has said that one of our viewers has said that your disclaimer has now failed his plans to sue our podcast. Man, I don't know. He could have sued me for fives of dollars. I don't know what we would have done.
I have a Yeti here. You could probably get that.
You know what? I'll settle with a sweet Ballpark Nation T-shirt. I'll have it coming your way. I'll get your address later on. M. Hatter. I don't want to out his actual name. It's like I love that I have friends who don't want their name. Like I'm friends with Batman, and I kind of find it badass.
Well, sure. Who wouldn't want to be friends with Batman?
I mean, well, exactly. Oh my God! Now Zach Beeson with Yordan out, who is the strong left-handed hitter for the Astros now? We also would like to know.
His name is Victor Carantini, and only half the time.
Only half the time. Learn his name. Rue it, opposing pitchers. Rue it.
Yeah, the Astros have a problem lineup-wise beyond everything else with Alvarez and the amount of commitment they have to him financially, the amount of baggage he takes up in the lineup when he should be. There are no replacements in the organization for Yordan Alvarez. And I don't think many organizations have a replacement for Yordan Alvarez. We don't even know if we need a replacement for Yordan Alvarez at this point. But it sure looks like Dana Brown is going to have to start burning up those phone lines probably a little bit earlier than he wanted to. Having said that, he does have the benefit of now a 7-game lead in the division with everybody chasing us kind of floundering. I know the Mariners have been playing well for Seattle. That's a giant asterisk there. But
and still lost the game last night on us. Yeah. So
yeah, they lost the game last night. We've got 2 against Colorado, and I know saying that out loud means something bad's going to happen in Denver for our team. Just I don't know. Altuve is going to take his shoe off again and get suspended for a few games. Who knows? But you should win those games. I don't really care. I want to beat the Dodgers, obviously, in Los Angeles, but the way that they've played for the past 8 games or 7 games makes that Dodgers series less important. It's not like you have to have a statement series against the Dodgers the first week of July. So the roster construction is going to be a problem because I just don't think you can continue to run out a top 4 of Isaac Paredes, Jake Myers, Jose Altuve, and Cam Smith and not have pitchers start taking advantage of the deficiencies those guys have. It would be great if, what we started seeing from Christian Walker last night, getting 3 hits, was a thing that could continue outside of the confines of Coors Field. Otherwise,
he was one scorer's decision away from really being 4 for 4. You could have easily called. Yeah.
And Christian Walker may be at the point of his career where he needs to be at Coors Field half the time. I don't know. He's a mystery just like everybody else. But to rely on the Trammels and the Hummels of the world to fill out your lineup day after day is not a winning strategy long term. I think the Astros, like Espada is saying, like Jeremy Pena is saying, they'll weather the storm for the next 12 days and get to the All-Star break. But there's got to be some change to the personnel. And if that's Chas McCormick coming back and being able to hit all of a sudden, if that is the other 2 outfielders, Zach DeCenzo and the guy who I'm actually excited about, Jacob Melton, coming back. But DeCenzo and Melton, I don't think have even started rehabbing yet, which doesn't bode well for, a hand injury and an ankle injury at this point. Dana Brown's got his work cut out for him from where I sit.
Well, and I think that this is actually the area too where Dana Brown excels. I think that he's good at this. I think he'll cook. I think we can't downplay the fact that the Astros lost the World Series in 2021 largely to an Atlanta Braves team that Dana Brown was a really big part of rebuilding on the fly. Like,
I mean, rebuilt it within a week.
Within a week, yeah.
During the season, yeah.
So I have faith in the ability to do that. I think the other thing too is we talked yesterday on the show about how like it feels a little bit like some of the teams of the 90s that we like to watch. Pitching travels, pitching plays, and most teams deal with the fact that they are usually strong in one area and deficient in another. And that's kind of where the Astros have fallen back to sort of normalcy as opposed to what they had been from 17 to 22, right? I would rather be pitching heavy than I would be hitting heavy if you maybe pick one of the two. Because
sure.
pitching travels. But travels.
I don't disagree with you in the span of a regular season, but I think when you start looking at what this team should be from a playoff perspective, I don't think the team that pitches best wins. I don't think the team that hits best wins. I think the team that plays all three aspects of baseball at the same time wins. So if you are, put it in video game terms, if you're 100 pitching staff but a 35 offense, I don't think you win multiple playoff series. But if you have 275, if you're 75, 75, 75 on the three aspects, you're going to win a lot of games and you're going to win baseball series because there's more luck on your side when you're doing three things well.
Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
I'm talking about playoffs on July 2nd because that is what you get when you have a 7-game lead in the division and you're not Seattle and expect to choke it away.
Yeah, I just trust us to be able to go find or get offense back more than I would if we had to rebuild the pitching staff. I would do the trade deadline. I'd be way more nervous about the playoff prospects for this team.
Well, to that point, we talked a tiny bit about Cedric Mullins being tied to the Astros or Dana Brown kicking the tires on him.
He got a hit yesterday against DeGrom.
Great. But I think the interesting thing there is that even if he's not having a great season, and I know there are Cooper Hummel lovers out there, he'd be an improvement over Cooper Hummel. And at this
point, my grandmother likes Hummel.
She does. A lot of old ladies do. I remember going to Stuckey's and my mother going crazy for those stupid things. Most of them got broken, maybe accidentally. But there's, the baseline of what we need to replace is so low right now on the active roster with, again, Cooper Hummel's doing as good as he can do in his role right now. Trammell is doing as good as he can do in his role right now. Shea Whitcomb doesn't have a role, but he's taking up space. Anything slightly better than those three guys is an improvement.
Totally.
To a team that is 151 games so far.
And I think too has members of its offense that at least in comparison to their career numbers are underperforming. There are three members of this team that should be playing better than they are in Altuve, Walker, and Yonier Diaz. And if those guys even approach, look, Altuve's not going to approach the best years of his career because he's 35 years old. But I think you can still be getting more out of those three, and that changes the outlook immensely.
I do think that if there is a silver lining to what's going on with the roster right now is that Altuve is being forced to DH more. So he's already had 21 starts in the DH role this year, which is on track for certainly more than he's ever had in his career. He's going to play second base a little bit more if Dubon is at short, and it's going to be what it is. But the more you can DH Altuve, at least so far this year, he has like an 811 OPS as a DH, which is a number of points higher than when he's playing left field or when he's played second base so far this year. I still think Altuve is a guy who is going to get hits, and he's still going to be a 100-hit guy, 150-hit guy. They're just going to come in bunches. I don't think you're going to see the consistent greatness for long periods of time. And I think some of that's just happy memories that we've kind of made up as well. That because he always had stretches where he just couldn't hit anything. And then it came out of nowhere where he was super hot for a couple weeks. I'm not worried about Jose Altuve. I'm not worried about Jake Myers, honestly, I think he is doing what everybody has been hoping he's been doing since he was called up in 2021. Diaz and Walker are the big concerns among the active roster right now. Diaz is interesting to me. I don't want to throw any Diaz shade right now, but I think Jeremy Branham on Twitter put together his golden era lineup and put Yainer Diaz as the starting catcher. And to the life of me, I'm like, I get that you started following the Astros in the middle of the run, but Brian McCann means nothing to you?
Name Brian McCann means nothing to you? I mean,
Cheerios? What about Cheerios? Yainer is very overrated by our fan base, like we talked about yesterday. And so he's got to come around. And there are periods where he's shown that he can get hot and heat up fast, and really need to see that, especially with the uncertainty around Alvarez and at least the 10 days that we're going to be without Pena. I am encouraged by the fact that both McTaggart and Rome wrote articles about Pena's injury this morning a little bit, and everybody outside of the medical staff says that this should be a short-term thing, because I know, again, some of the usual suspects on social media were claiming that broken ribs would keep somebody out for 2 months or something.
Yeah, it was funny because I watched Pena, his media availability the other day, which is already something different than Alvarez has not been in front of the media, but a handful of times. Hand,
got it.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. Well, I thought that was sort of funny, guys, but whatever. But he looked like he wanted to play today. I actually felt for the kid. He's in the middle of the best run of his career. I do think he'll be back, maybe not before the All-Star break, but the All-Star break again is in 12 games.
Yeah. Do we have a graphics guy on this team? Because I really think the power of Pena this year has come down to how big his sideburns have gotten.
Oh, my Lord.
They've gotten a little bit unruly, but he's hitting like 353 since he started letting them grow.
We need to do, in the offseason, we need to do an episode of this show, and Michael Nash is watching. We'll get his input on that too, of just all the stupid facial hair styles the Astros have seen throughout its history, because it's been stupid.
But if you look good, you play well, Jim.
Well, Abreu looked the dumbest of all of them, and I guess it checked out. I don't know.
So by this theory, would Maldonado have been a better offensive player had he stopped dyeing his hair every 3 weeks?
Oh, I thought that for sure. Yes. Although Nash says he has stupid facial hair, so I don't think that's true.
Michael Nash is an expert. We'll bring him on the show.
Welcome to the facial hair hour with Ballpark Nation. No, yeah, it's funny to me because the immediate piling on of the Astros medical staff, it's become parody at this point, and it's kind of become exhausting to read because I think people just parrot things. They don't really think about it. I don't think the Pena situation is the same as the Yordan situation, which certainly was not the same as the Tucker situation. And that's really where all of this started, was misdiagnosing a broken leg.
Sure.
A year ago. Hands, the bones are small. I get it.
But we compartmentalize things as human beings, right? So the series of injuries the Astros have had in the last 3 years, and the Astros just this season alone are third, I believe I read this morning, in the number of days missed. We've missed 1,019 days with injury so far this season from active roster guys. That's behind the Dodgers and the Mets. The Dodgers are like at 1,300 days. So the Dodgers are obviously a very good team, able to overcome all that. But
we're right up there. Guys are pitchers too. Like they're like we think we're losing pitchers. They're losing.
But I think the average fan, and I think most of us are guilty of it. You conflate the bad news and just try to compartmentalize it. And guys getting Tommy John surgery because they have UCL strains or tears has nothing to do with the medical staff's ability to treat them. Lance McCullers' extended comeback might have had a little bit to do with how the medical staff rehabbed him. But that has just as much to do with the fact that Lance McCullers is probably a little bit fragile arm-wise to the point that I don't know any training staff, regimen, anything else would have gotten him back any sooner than he was. but as a fan, it's just all on the pile of bad injury news. And so Christian Javier, JP France, Spencer Arrighetti breaking his thumb, Yordan, Kyle, Alex Bregman straining a quad in Boston, which is probably somehow our fault.
Yeah.
It's all just in the same bucket of Astros ineptitude. And unfortunately, whenever either Joe Espada or Dana Brown starts communicating about this stuff, it's just weird messages. It's like, I want to give you information, but I can't say the words I want to say, so I'm going to dance around it. And I think it leads a
trying
lot
to be positive, like
interpretation.
for 5 years. It's almost like they're talking to us like we're 5 years old and our uncle's got cancer and we're trying to give the best spin on it.
I mean, at least to Dana Brown's credit, I have not heard him say back of the baseball card this year.
No.
So I want to think that somebody got to him and he's made that change. So growth is great for all of us.
Somebody's like, hey, Dana, sound older, please.
What's a baseball card?
Do people still – somebody gave me a filmmaker, God bless her soul, super sweet, but she wanted to give me a gift after the film festival. And she gave me a bunch of baseball cards, and I have never been a guy who collected – I know it's hard to believe when you look behind me and you see – I mean, I'm even pointing a different way. I've got so many other things back here, but I've never been a baseball card guy.
I mean, I liked it when I was younger, and nobody cares about this, by the way. When it was kind of like Topps and Fleer, and that was it. And then Upper Deck came in, and then
Donruss, and you were like, I'm out.
Well, the explosion happened, I guess, in the mid '90s, where it became a commodity market versus just something that was fun to collect, and I lost quick interest. When you used to go to I used to go to the TriStar shows, not even to get autographs, just to look at shit, because like you, I have boxes of memorabilia that just for no reason, I own them for no reason, but I wanted them at some point, so I bought them. But the card part of it just started taking over and became just kind of gross. And it's gross in the same way that I think the fact that DraftKings is one of Major League Baseball's main sponsors is gross.
Yeah, I was always into comics at that time, and the comic industry was the same thing. Like everything was an investment. You weren't supposed to read it and enjoy it.
The variant covers. The variant covers. Yeah,
there's like X-Men #1 had like 7 covers. I think that run made it 12 issues. Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't
all right.
Yeah.
One for each cover.
One for each cover. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get back to the Astros in a second, but I wanted to talk a little 4th of July stuff with you because you're also a movie guy. Are you what do you yeah, other than Independence Day? Are you a movie guy on 4th of July? Do you grill? Because you're kind of like a family guy too. Not like Peter Griffin, but like an actual family.
I do have children, so if that's what you mean.
You have children.
They're 22 and 19, so I don't know if that even counts anymore.
They might not.
I have no idea what we're going to do. I don't make plans. If we're limiting things completely to the scope of my imagination, we'll probably be in the pool for a while, and we'll probably end up at the movie theater at some point, and then I will drug my dogs and try to ignore the fireworks happening. There is no world where I go out to Eleanor Tinsley Park and stand amongst that teeming mass of humanity, sweating to death, waiting to see some third-rate country band tell me how proud they are to be an American. And it's not that I disagree with the sentiment. It's that I don't have to do it because we do live in America and I have air conditioning.
Jessica when Jordan was 10, maybe 10, Jessica drug us out to Zilker Park, and you used to live in Austin, and you know what a shit show it is to get in and out of that place.
On a normal day.
For a July 4th. I think it took us, because you had to do the whole shuttle thing, I want to say it took us 3 hours to get home. And I was enraged through the entire thing.
I guess it's just part of getting older. I've got no love for fireworks. I've got no interest in fireworks. The whole thing is it's silly at this point. If you like them, God love you. It's great. Yeah. But me and my dogs will be under a cover, maybe medicated.
Well, as a former,
maybe that's how Americans should spend July 4th now. Just be medicated.
As a former combat veteran, I share your aversion to fireworks, and I actually miss my dog Vader, who this will be his first 4th of July. We've not had him, but he couldn't handle him either. So he and I would just take the same amount of trazodone and see you next Thursday. We were out, but we do chili dogs. Jessica Makes Chili Dogs. We watched Jaws. We watched Independence Day, and it is the 25th anniversary of the least accurate historical drama ever made, The Patriot. So we will.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Independence Day. You're right. That didn't happen
yet.
Since we're just bitching about things, when did the Astros change their website to be such a shitty, unnavigable thing?
Well, it's like everything else. They didn't. Major League Baseball did. And yeah.
Because it now takes me like 6 clicks to find out who the starting pitcher is today. That seems weird.
Yeah, they've standardized it and at the minor league level too to make everything easier for us.
Now it takes 1 click to buy tickets, so maybe that's the goal. But I'm sitting here struggling to kind of. There's no way to advance forward from yesterday's game to this game. It just.
Let me just vent about that in the Astros for a second, because we've had season tickets now for 2 years, and we're not going to renew them next year. It's too hard to get there for it to be worth it. So we probably will end up going the same amount of times and just spend money on nice tickets for while we're there. So I had already emailed my person to say, hey, I'm not renewing. And she wrote back, well, there'll be a process you have to go through on July 8th, starting July 8th to cancel. Bitch, there's no process, okay? I am telling you verbally, I am not renewing. And if you charge my card, I will simply do a chargeback. Like, why are you going to make it difficult for me to say I don't want this product anymore?
Oh, I don't know. I know you were not a big fan of the TV series Friends, but it is very much like trying to cancel your gym membership. From my memory, you can't do it. They've got some way to just continue to draft your bank, and if you try to cancel your credit card, the bank will now talk you into opening up a different account. So it's just this never-ending cycle. So people just have. I think there's like 10,000 people who just have perpetual tickets and don't even know it at this point.
Yeah. I don't know, but not this guy. This guy's $12,000, Chief. Oh my God.
So
it's almost what Quint got paid to kill the shark.
So Colton Gordon yesterday gave up a lot of hits. We stayed into the game and made a six run inning, or 6 runs stand up for the entire game. Can we expect anything different? I need Hunter Brown to actually be one of those guys that goes into Coors and still doesn't give up hits just because he's Colton Gordon, it was interesting too, because he gave up a lot of soft contact yesterday. But that is, I think, the downside of a pitcher like Colton Gordon, who lives in the zone. He didn't walk anybody, and so you put the ball in, you put the ball in the zone, and it gets hit at Coors Field. Like, I thought the home run he gave up, I thought was, and so did Jake Myers, I think, by his slowly drifting back and back and back, and then it was 420 feet later. Yeah, it was just one of those things. Well, I always forget, because usually the Astros only play at Coors Field twice a year, or once a year, or once every other year, excuse me. And usually it's only a 2-game series. Somehow this year we got a 3-game series in Colorado.
In the summer.
And I always forget, because I don't watch those games, how surprised everybody is that they're actually getting hits, especially home runs. It's like, I have no idea if that's going out. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Carantini seemed like he knew it was going out. Everybody else that hit a home run, the other 2 home runs yesterday, were kind of like drifting. Oh, I'm going to run hard now, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was. It's Coors Field giveth, Coors Field taketh away.
I wonder if you're like, if the Rockies have been around long enough for fans to have a certain view of what baseball is in Colorado. I wonder if those fans go to other parks or watch road games on TV and don't understand why it's so hard at other parks.
Yeah. They are the ones that come and they see the routine fly ball, but they get super excited.
Oh, you mean Todd Callis?
Or Todd Callis.
Are you saying Todd Callis is a Rockies fan? Because that man cannot judge a fly ball to save his damn life. And I don't know if it's the view they have from the seats, but it's just weird how bad he is at that. We can have a whole show on how irritating Todd and Jeff Blum are getting to me. And I know that's not going to make the people who watch us happy.
Bro,
but
I'm over them. I can't listen to them anymore. There was a moment where I just can't do it anymore. I love Julia, but there's something about those two have become parodies of themselves. Whereas I will listen to Sparky and Robert and watch the game.
Well, thank God for Robert Ford, because he's the voice of sanity. And I got an idea of how much better Steve Sparks is than I think he is, because I had to listen to a series that Kevin Eschenfelder was filling in. It's not good.
Kevin Eschenfelder. What makes Sparky and Robert work is that they are both very aware of who they are, what their strengths are, and they have crafted a show that fits into both of those things. Kevin Eschenfelder comes off like the guy who really wants Robert's job and is going to try to remind us throughout the entire broadcast that he should be the play-by-play voice. He shouldn't, but that's his thing. But yeah, it's sacrilegious to say, but I'm over Blummer and Callis. I don't think they're very good.
This feels like an off-season topic.
It does.
When no one's watching us anyway, and that way we can just say what we want to.
Nobody's going to get mad. Like, we just lost 5 viewers when we said we didn't like Todd Callis. No, but as far as Hunter Brown tonight, I mean, I expect the Astros to win tonight. And then, I don't know.
But we're facing a guy with a 6.14 ERA in Austin Gomber, and he's not exactly new. He's not somebody who the Astros will do the we've never faced him thing before, which we love to do.
Well, but he's only started 3 games this season, and 2 of them he actually pitched pretty well, and then he got blown up by Arizona, which I think has inflated his ERA. But he does have about a 4 ERA for his career. So 4.89,
that's almost 5. I'd round that up to 5. He's not great. Yeah,
that's like when Jessica asked me how much the new hat cost, and I'll say $4, and it was really $4.89. I don't mean to do it. It's what I do.
And again, I said this out loud, that Austin Gomber's not that great, and Hunter Brown, we clearly have the pitching advantage. It'll be a 1-0 game going into the 8th inning.
As long as we're the ones with 1.
I know that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
on a Cooper Hummel home run.
Who knew? He watched the show, and you've just given him fuel. And I've got my Hummel saved. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say, oh, you got to sweep, because I don't see us necessarily winning a game against LA, although Fromber is starting in one of those games, so who knows. And Altuve usually rises to occasions in the most hostile of environments. But
and Christian Walker hits really well for his career in Dodger Stadium.
And they don't have any pitching left, so they don't.
And to be fair, Shohei does not hit well against the Astros historically. Now, a lot of that's with the Angels, where you didn't have to pitch to him, but the Astros, say this shit out loud and be cursed. The Astros have usually had a way of managing Shohei Ohtani when they faced him in his career.
Well, they it's funny. There was a conversation that was happening where I forgot who it was. It was, what it was? I was watching Chandler Roan's podcast, and he was talking about how, like, all these great players that they've never seen, because when they come, like Mike Trout is great, but he's never really been very good against the Astros. Shohei is one of those players. Frankly, as I don't remember Mookie Betts really having great games against us either. I just feel like the Dodgers are the wrong matchup for how depleted the team really is. But then again, so were the Phillies and so were the Cubs.
Well, I mean, the Dodgers are an excellent team. They're not in first place by accident, and they are, certainly overcoming the things that we're dealing with as well. And just to prove my point, Shohei Ohtani has a career 785 OPS against the Astros, with only 15 home runs. They've had a good approach, similar to the approach they have against Aaron Judge, at least in the postseason. Speaking of which, if the playoff, I don't know if you saw the graphic yesterday that MLB put out. They did one of their "if the playoffs were today" thing. A ALDS matchup of Astros at Yankees at Astros for 7. Can't have the Yankees fans feeling great.
Oh my Lord! Emily Nyman just felt a disturbance in the force and is now in the fetal position next to her cat Apollo, sucking her thumb and picking out which Legos to build in October.
I mean, there are rational accounts, that Yankees accounts, not the crazy people, but the rational Yankees accounts that are even like, we've got to get out of that playoff.
Don't even, yeah.
Maybe we drop down to the wild card, the 4th spot or something.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, have you thought about intentionally dropping a few games you should win just to kind of get you out of that mojo? But baseball's 50% of it's 90% mental. What was the Yogi quote about that? Something?
I don't know.
I don't know. No, look,
My caffeine's running out.
I think the Astros are obviously, I think, in a really good place to be 5 or 6 games up when the All-Star break comes. The thing about looking down the road at the schedule too before the All-Star break is that the Mariners gets quite a bit harder before they have their All-Star break. I believe they're on the road with Detroit and with the Yankees. I'm looking their schedule up right now, but all things being equal, and we've got the Rangers coming to town. So you should feel pretty confident with having at least a 5 or 6 game lead at the All-Star break, and then you're off and running. So I think for as much as the injury stuff is worrisome, there's still reasons to be very, very positive.
Yeah, and I'm going to resist my normal feeling about the All-Star break because this is completely anecdotal. Anybody can look up stats and tell me I'm way off base on this, but my life as an Astros fan, and we're talking about 40 plus years at this point, the Astros historically have gotten hot right before the All-Star break. That feels like a thing that happens more often than it doesn't. And then they completely fall on their face immediately coming out of the All-Star break. And whether that's a series or 2 series or a week, I'm not even getting into it. It's a feeling. I'm probably wrong on it. But that's my fear, is that we stay really, really hot till the All-Star break, and then we have a 1 to 2 week period of just tripping on our own dicks for a while where all this stuff catches up to us. Because I do think there is such a thing as momentum. I think we've got a lot of momentum right now. A lot of things are going our way. Jake Myers not catching that ball last night and still doubling the guy off or getting the guy out at second. That was just, bad base running went our way. There's been a lot of those kind of things. I worry about that running out, but I also am hopeful that we start seeing guys actually come back to the roster by that point.
Yeah. Well, and also just to kind of, to your point, but also to make an argument, I felt like last year, none of that went our way. And so the idea that it could go our way this year feels like the momentum shift, even if it's not month to month. But you're right. If you go look at any year that we won the World Series, June was always the Astros' best month.
Yep.
Hands down.
And we just came off the best June, the best month in the history of the franchise.
Is that right?
Winning percentage rise. Yes.
Wow.
Michael Schwab pointed that out. I'll give him props for that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, I mean, like I said, I think it's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom as we look at hands and ribs and everything else. But at this point,
I might make some ribs for the 4th.
Yeah, you know what? Make some ribs.
No
Maybe
hands.
Don't eat one of them as like a symbol to the gods.
Ooh, I could get really Catholic and take one of them and plant them in my garden somehow for healthy ribs or something. I mean, that's a thing that people do.
I don't know that that's Catholicism. That might be voodoo, which I know is rooted in Catholicism. I'm just saying you might be.
You say tomato, I say tomato. I'm going to hell either way.
And a horror guy. Don't mess with stuff you don't understand. It doesn't never ends well.
Hey, just ask Uncle Junior. I'm going to hell either way.
Well, fair. All right. Well, any final thoughts for the Astros again? By the way, Andy, if you have not been to Colorado, next time the Astros go, you should go. It's a top 3 ballpark, hands down. It's amazing.
I have been to Coors Field, and I do like the way the city of Denver and the Rockies kind of partnered to revitalize their East Downtown area.
Sure.
It is what I assume, different ways, but I assume Jim Crane is trying to eventually get to whenever the construction starts on this stupid sporting venue he's opening up across the street from Minute Maid Park is going to look like, because we've been hearing about this now for 5 years, and the land's been cleared for 2, and no construction has happened. Hoping that's still a thing.
He needs some of that World Series money, but
maybe they can move. Maybe they can move the IKEA display cases that are our Hall of Fame across the street, so it could actually be a hall.
Well, it's a hallway. I mean,
It's
what do you
half a
want?
hallway. There's not even anything on the other side of it.
Well, yeah, there's
It's
a
a
baseball
wall.
field.
It's a wall of fame.
It's a wall. I was about to say there's a baseball field and a mural. What do you want them to put there, man? All right. Andy, happy 4th of July. We will be we'll be back next week. I don't know if we'll be back Tuesday or Wednesday, folks, because I am going to see Superman. I want to be able to talk to you guys spoiler free about it. So until then, Andy, any final thoughts?
Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America. For Andy, I'm Jim. This has been Off Day with Ballpark Nation.